with the party having traveled along these switchbacks, starting to climb into the foothills south of you as you slowly move your way up and into these mountains. You get to points where you're at like higher elevations. You start to see the valleys behind you a little bit more. The trees start to clear out a little bit more. There's still mountainous areas in your general kind of right to left, but you're getting more and more towards the open saddle of this ridge coming out of the Sword Mountains, where when you all gain your first view of Phandalin, you are going to be looking to the south of you, seeing a large stone wall that kind of surrounds this little hamlet. You can probably see right off the bat a farmhouse that's a little closer to you all on the actual outskirts of town that is off on the western side of the road to your right. And there's another structure that's kind of off in the distance a little bit south of that little farmhouse. Those are what you can see immediately outside of the town. You probably have a view of about 20 or so buildings inside of the town, maybe a lot more smaller structures that kind of fit into that. Much of the town is built out of flagstone granite, kind of this big dark gray rock, including the wall and including many of these buildings. The buildings that are created out of stone, almost all of them are partially made from stone. Very few of them does the stone go over about 5 or 6 feet into the air from the ground. Many of these buildings are evidently ruins that have been reconstructed and rebuilt back up. So almost all of these buildings are stone bases, stone foundations, and then they have wood that is built from, anywhere from the ground pretty much up to like 5 or 6 feet, and it is wood from there up. So if there is a building that is 2 stories, the second story is pretty much always entirely made out of wood. Most first stories are a blend of where the rocks gave out. They've started to construct wood on top of that. From outside of town, you all are kind of looking into the kind of sunset is off to your right as the sun is starting to set. There is like a golden glow that's kind of bathing across Phandalin. And as you all come over one of these little rises and gain this first sight of the town, you can see that there already are a few people who are outside of the town itself, and they are kind of gathering together. As far as things go here, I always think that getting you together and role playing is more important than having a great story. And as well, I really don't have a great plan for how Dandabar is going to be joining you all. So we are just going to smash you together and allow you all to role play at this scene at dusk at the entrance to Phandalin. And as far as things go, we'll kind of let it play out for there, but allow you all to kind of role play. You are effectively going to be seeing so you should see here a large open field. The farmhouse to the west of you is on the left side of the screen. You all would be walking from the north south towards Phandalin right now. Phandalin sits along the saddle of this mountain ridge. So where this wall is a little bit lower than the town that is inside of the wall. Much of that stone wall is 4 feet tall. Some of it is still 8 feet tall. There are very few spots in this wall that you cannot just walk casually into Phandalin. The wall is no longer a barrier against entry. It's more or less just a status symbol that this is where the town ends. Uh, the town rises as it goes to the east, as you go up higher into the Sword Coast, and there is very evidently a separate kind of ruins that is higher, more eastern, um, and ruined than the town of Phandalin. Like, you can see signs that it used to lead towards this building, but otherwise that building is in ruins. There's a lot of like overgrowth and evidence that it is dilapidated up there. Kander has placed himself on the board. If you all can go over to your characters under the journal, if you click on your character's name, you can click hold and drag yourself onto the board. And for what it's worth, we haven't really placed you here for a reason, Dandabar, but for what it is worth coming in at dusk, we'll just say that you are one of the people who are kind of coming in from the outskirts, and you're kind of seeing this commotion ahead of you that is going to be happening regardless. So as soon as you all are ready to actually start role playing with each other, you can jump into that. But effectively, you all have this little scene. Um, excuse me. You have this little scene ahead of you. There is a young man, probably mid 20s, late 20s, down on the ground, one hand on the ground. He's almost kind of like lounged with one leg kind of up, and his other arm is kind of leaned onto that knee. So he's kind of resting his head, seems to be rubbing his forehead, and he has a. Let's see. He's got a small little child who is next to him, who seems to be kind of handing him a glass of water uh, out of just like a little wooden cup, and seems to be kind of helping this person who seems to be dropped down on the ground. As you all approach this scene on the ground, what is everyone thinking?
Uh, suppose I'm wondering if he needs help.
Yeah, I think
So, if you're thinking about whether he needs help, you can head on over to them and you can certainly ask. What were you going to say as you ask if they need help?
Um, yeah, I suppose I'd approach and say, uh, "Hello there. Is everything all right here?"
I don't know what happened. I got jumped by two little people. Ah, must have been some of those ratty dwarves. I don't know how they got the best of me. And the little boy is just going to kind of like look up to you all with almost little puppy dog eyes as he's just kind of like holding the water and just more or less just kind of like staying silent beside the other guy.
Well, I don't know about the dwarves in this area, but we were just ambushed by goblins, so possible that's what got you too.
Oh, we've heard sightings of some of the goblins in this area. There's notices of the danger posted. If you have information, you can certainly take it to the town master and try to give us some of those locations. And the Order of the Ruby Owl will investigate it for you.
Can I do a perception check to see if there's any like wounds or anything, just like light wounds that we can maybe dress for them?
Yeah, you can definitely roll a perception to see if he has any visible wound.
And that's just rolling on D&D Beyond, right?
If you've got Beyond 20 set up, you should be able to go into your character, and when you go to Perception, if you click on that, it should show you a little red polyhedron. If you click on anything that is red inside of D&D Beyond, that should send the roll. If you've got Beyond 20 set, it would send it over to roll 20 here. So if you click on it, we can see if it's all set up correctly.
Oh, I don't think it is, damn it. I can just do a regular roll real quick. +3.
Yeah, if you roll inside of roll 20, it is just on the left side of the screen. There's a die roller over there, or you can do a / roll. Regardless of what your modifier is, you can see that this person does indeed have signs of wounds. Most of them seem like blunt force damage. Do a medicine check here for me.
It's
And
gonna be 7.
they do indeed seem like pretty vicious wounds. This could definitely be the type of thing that would put somebody into a haze and kind of remove some of their faculties, perhaps concussing them.
I say, where are you from, friend? Can we help you back home?
I can't leave my post. I'm thankful Pip here has aided me. I'm supposed to collect the taxes of any who would be visiting the town. And those rowdy dwarves must have been coming in for supplies again, and as shitty people do, they must have thought it was easier to knock me out from outside of my view than to pay their copper.
So Kander is going to kind of like approach the child, Pip, kind of like almost like getting down on one knee to like kind of bring himself to his levels, like putting a friendly smile on his face. Trying to put the child at ease. Did you happen to see what happened? Pip, was it?
I'm sorry, I didn't actually see anything. I've only seen him here, fallen over on the ground. I was out playing. I was sneaking away from my parents before everything got busy tonight, and I saw him. I don't know what happened.
Kander will be like, "Oh no, that's all right," and then I'll give like the kid a wink, and don't worry, I won't tell your parents you were out playing. Nothing wrong with that.
Roll a persuasion. I appreciate you not telling Toblin or my mom. If you decide that you'd like to leave your home and visit us at the inn if you get bored tonight, don't forget you're always welcome at the Stonehill Inn. My parents always have enjoyed your company, and they'll just kind of like wink to you.
Well, it's much appreciated, Pip.
You'll see as the man's kind of getting to his feet, still has like a level of insecurity on his feet. It doesn't, he's not like spry or quick moving. You can still see a sluggishness. As he kind of stands, you see, in general, this person's just kind of wearing traveling clothes, has some kind of leather, does carry a short sword. Anybody who carries something like a short sword is going to stick out for a few reasons. as swords take a lot more metal than some other weapons that actually have other uses. Swords are used for war. Somebody who carries a short sword looks different than somebody who carries, say, an axe. As he stands, you're going to get those senses that this is indeed somebody who is a guard. It fits the idea that this is somebody who is a guard, somebody who is a tax collector. It kind of fits those different things. But as he kind of like stands to his feet, he's going to kind of look around at you all and looking back towards Pip. They've been in town already. You do look familiar to me. I appreciate you taking the time to stop this evening. Are those goods? Where are you coming from with them?
We're coming from what was it again? Neverwinter?
Ah, good.
Yes, these are for
He,
Barthen's provisions.
as soon as you say Neverwinter, he is approaching the wagon and he's starting to lift up the kind of like waxen tarpaulin, and he's starting to look over things. And you can still see he's kind of rubbing his head as he looks, holding one hand up with the tarpaulin, other hand still kind of like rubbing his forehead. And you'll see after a few moments he's gonna look back to you, kind of confused a little bit. It's probably 3 copper for the goods. Coming from have you traders coming in from Neverwinter need to pay their taxes anew? 8 copper pieces. Oh wait, my bad. That was me doing the math wrong. I counted Pip. He's gonna look over the 4 of you and say 7 copper pieces.
And I hand him my water skin and try and persuade him to lower that.
Taxes aren't my decision, friend, and I'll take a big swig. I don't have the leisure to remove taxes.
That's all right. I suppose we can pay it. Maybe Barthen will reimburse us for delivering his goods.
Heading to Barthen. Okay. It's good that someone's finding ways for shipments to get into town. Don't forget to notify the town master of the goblins that you've encountered.
Of course. Thank you for your hard work. And I'll give him 7 copper.
So I'll take a moment to count them. And I'll kind of look back over everybody as he kind of like sits down against the wall and kind of looks past you. And after a few moments, he's just going to look back over you all. And you've paid your dues. You're welcome to enter.
You'll see like a almost like pained expression come over Cander's face when Flynn hands over the money, because he is just opposed in principle to paying these sorts of fees. But he won't say anything. He won't try to stop him.
I'm happy because we've got gold waiting for us, so copper is fine. But I'm not going to say that out loud.
So if everybody is prepared to step away from this, my bad, what were you thinking there, Dandabar?
I was just saying I'm a cheapskate.
Oh, should we since we didn't do like a formal introduction with Dandabar, should we just do like a quick kind of like what our characters look like kind of thing?
That works as far as this kind of moment goes. Effectively, he kind of just blended into you guys in that moment. As far as things go, again, that's how I prefer it until you guys actually role play something. That scene was supposed to be that guard accusing the person who couldn't get their microphone set up. He was my lead into bringing the 3 new players in, and now we have 1 of 3 new players actually here. So yeah, you guys can definitely do. This is not a description of your character. This is a description of what somebody sees walking up to your character. Describe like the clothing you're wearing. Almost every adventure has a big ass backpack on their back. Describe the kind of like visible weapons or equipment you are carrying. This is a moment to tell somebody you are a wizard without saying you are a wizard. Tell somebody you are a ranger without showing somebody you are a ranger. But in general, describe like the armor or the equipment they see you wearing as clothing, and then effectively the weapons you're carrying. Are you tall, dark hair, light hair? First impressions from 20 feet away, kind of thing. But if you would like to do an introduction for Candor as Dandabar sees you, that would be wonderful.
Sure. Yep. So Candor's a bit over 6 feet, kind of a rangy, lean kind of build. He's got the backpack on his back. He's wearing kind of black, kind of dyed black leather armor over like a white shirt that's surprisingly clean, given that they presumably have been traveling. Clean shaven, thick kind of black hair down to about the nape of his neck. Kind of a ruddy, ruddy skin tone. In terms of weapons, you'll see he's got a short bow and a quiver of arrows slung over his back, rapier at his belt, and a couple pair of daggers kind of in sheaths along kind of in his chest of his armor. Very kind of friendly, open type of expression.
Excellent. And how about of Flynn?
Flynn is he's tall, just about 6 feet, dark hair. He's wearing chainmail armor. He's got a long sword strapped to his side. He's got a shield on his left arm. And emblazoned on the shield is a deity's sit symbol. He generally has a friendly demeanor, and yeah, that's
And then Einar?
Einar is he's about 5'8" tall. He's wearing a cloak. He often you'll see part of his face, but he's a handsome chap in his 30s. He's wearing leather armor. He's also carrying 2 short swords and a long bow and a quiver with arrows as well, along with his backpack. He will look at you suspiciously, as he does everyone when you approach him.
And then can you describe Dandabar for the others?
Yeah. So Dandabar is about 5 feet tall. He is a half elf. He's got a long white beard and one of those like pokey nose. If they get too close, you can probably poke your eye out type of noses. Receding hairline a little bit with long flowing white hair. He's wearing some dirtied up robes. He's got dirt on his face. As far as his demeanor is going, he just always seems inquisitive. He's always smelling something or trying to taste it. but as far as you can tell, seems to be a very easygoing demeanor, just very inquisitive. You can't really see any weapons on him, but it's not someone you would expect to see weapons on, but looks like an old man.
So, as you all are starting to walk into the town here, if you see now on this map, the north end is where you all are coming into town. You just passed that one kind of farmhouse. You are entering that area where there is a house off to the west of where you are. There's that little bit of a foot trail that's leading off from the east, and that's where this person was getting up off of the ground. As you start to step away from him, you're going to see as the little kid kind of looks to you all and starts to follow before real quick he kind of turns around and he looks back over and he's like, are you okay then? Do you need anything else? Otherwise I'm gonna go back to work. But I can. And he'll see as the mid-20s guy kind of looks at him and, if you would carry the news that Granite Bane has been seen again, and they attacked me, to the order, I would be obliged. And if you return with one of mine, I have a copper in it for you. And you'll see as the little boy kind of nods to him and will otherwise catch up to you all and kind of follow you in. And he's very quickly going to kind of look over to Candor and Flynn and kind of say, I'm sorry about that. I was trying to make it seem like you all have already paid your taxes. My apologies. But welcome. Are you... And he takes a closer look at everybody. Everybody is new here. Is this... Are you miners? Are you really helping Barthen? Why have you all come? Are you coming to stay at the inn? What kind of business do you have here in Phandalin? Is that a real sword? And he's just gonna keep going on like this, asking you all questions.
I just blurt out, "Flavors, me boy, flavors."
It's Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, can you show us to your inn, boy? We've had a difficult day's travel, and we are ready to rest. Can you show us the way?
Flynn's gonna interrupt. We should probably bring the cart to Barthen's provisions first.
It's very good thinking.
And no need to trouble yourself, Pip. Appreciate the effort. And he'll reach into his pouch and just kind of flip a copper coin to the kid.
So, kind of like looking between you all are walking right past where he's going to point to you. Well, this is Barthen's right here, so you don't have to walk too much further. And he's just going to kind of like, in a quick gesture, catch the coin as you kind of flick it over to him. And with a wry little smile, he'll kind of point off and he's going to point down. And then if you follow same side of the street, where the last house before you get to the square, you'll hear everybody inside. I'll tend to be in the back, but if you, when you meet my father, I'll probably see you then. But thank you all. If you end up with anything else that I can help you with, I'll do what I can. Bye. And he's going to run off. So effectively, he has told you you have Barthen's provisions right at the entrance here. And then Stonehill Inn just a little bit deeper into town. Those are probably too large right now, but I will adjust them. What sort of thoughts do you all have as Pip starts to run away, but has otherwise told you all, at very least, where Barthen's is and where the Stonehill Inn is?
Kendra will kind of echo Flynn's suggestion, supposing we'd get over to bring the wagon over to Barthen's. He'll also be like kind of looking around the others, like, I suppose this Granite Bane is nickname, perhaps.
Yeah, I suppose for the dwarves, he believes attacked him, although I'd not known dwarves attacked so underhandedly.
Well, no one likes paying taxes. I can attest to that. So there are
living copper is a small price to pay for a dwarf.
there are easier ways to get around it, or less violent means.
Perhaps if we move on, you'll discover more.
So my bad, I did not catch. Is the idea to head into Barthen's Provisions?
Yeah.
Gotcha. What were you thinking there, Justin?
Nope, just agreeing. Yep.
So when you all enter into this little building, as far as things go outside, there's kind of 2 or 3 buildings kind of set up here. As far as you can see, there are 2 entrances. Immediately at the entrance to town, there is an entrance to what seems like a little like outdoor space. Effectively, this is about the size of a wagon, and there is a little bit of stable area to house some livestock. All of it seems relatively empty. Along kind of the southern, like higher portion of this area is a large, very open, like circular patio that leads to a very big kind of open, um, not really like a storefront, but there's a certain level of this is very clearly an outfitter's. There are things that you might need strewn about this house. So there are like mining picks outside, shovels outside, like hanging on the wall underneath this veranda, and you can see rope, um, some different metal goods that you might have to purchase, like from picks and hammers to things like metal spikes and like rack and pinions. This is very clearly a supplier's shop. It makes very much sense that this would be Barthen's as you all kind of circle around and prepare to enter it. When you do enter, you are going to see a small little room where there is, I think I have it fully blacked out right now. There's a small little room. There is a small little man who's kind of running around. He's got a book in hand, kind of looking over some different things, smoking a pipe, and he otherwise has just just stark white hair, very little kind of signs of his age, besides that his body is so small and that his hair is like entirely white. But otherwise, you just kind of see a little old man, probably about 4.5 or 5 feet tall, short for a human, and he seems to be kind of going around and looking over things. There isn't really like a display of this. There's a lot of different things that are set about on tables. This is one of those things to recall. when things are presented in places like this, they need storage space. So a lot of this is smaller goods that can kind of be stacked, not necessarily everything somebody has for sale. But as you all walk in, he is in this front little kind of entryway, and will very quickly kind of looking up from his little bit of a book, kind of look to you all and, oh, welcome all. Welcome to Barthen's. I'm Barthen's, and these are my provisions. How can I help you all today? As he puts his hands together, and kind of like bows his head a little bit over his hands.
Uh, Hello there. We have a shipment for you from Neverwinter.
A shipment from Neverwinter, you say?
Uh,
And
yeah.
this is care of.
We were hired by a Gundren Rockseeker.
Good, Gungeon, Gungeon. And is he outside setting the wagons?
We haven't seen him. He said he would be traveling ahead of us, several days ahead of us. Did he not make it to town?
See a bit of a kind of troubled look over his face. Well, one moment, please. And he's just going to kind of step through a little side area where he steps behind a little like display case or just like a shelving, and he's going to walk towards the door in the back, kind of just reach one arm through as he kind of pushes the door open, and he is going to holler out, Ander! Ander! Come to the front, please, boy! Um, and I'm very sorry. I did expect Gundren. Um, if he's left before you, this is perhaps he had to. And as he's kind of like just droning off, a little redhead boy, probably about 3 or so feet tall, is going to kind of poke through the door. And as he kind of like looks through, he's going to just, yes, Martin, what can I do for you, sir? And he's just going to turn to the little boy. Um, can you check? Would you? Is it too late for you, boy? Can you go and see? And he's going to look back over you. And then he looks back to the boy. Can you check on the 3 brothers? And you'll see as the boy kind of looks over to you all. Of course, sir. I will go now. And I'll see you later. And then the boy's going to step through the back door.
I whispered to Candor, "This is making me uneasy."
Sure, it's nothing. Candor will give kind of like a little wave. Yeah, sure, it's nothing to worry about. Just a little misunderstanding. Barthen, you know a fellow named Granite Bane, any chance?
You've had dealings with this Granite Bane.
Not not formally. Happened to come across a bit of the aftermath of a kerfuffle. Seems like out near the entrance. Man out there said Granite Bane knocked him about a bit.
Oh, what man was it?
Said he was responsible for collecting taxes.
One of the Order of the Ruby Owl?
Did mention them, as I recall.
They've got it out for the dwarves. They're not too keen on them. If there's a tiff between them, it wouldn't be too surprising. But to imagine Granite Bane would do such a thing is... well, perhaps we can all learn something about that in time. Give me one moment. The wagon is just out front now. And he's going to do a pretty similar thing. Push an arm through that door. Thistle! Thistle, come to the front! I need you to take the team to the back. And you're going to kind of... What do we got for passive perceptions here? I think Einar might be able to hear a little bit of kind of like scuffling in the back. But there's just kind of little bits of movement signs from somewhere back behind this door. After a few moments, it's going to go quiet. And then probably about like a minute later, you all are going to see as a small little girl is going to kind of run up to the wagon, brown long hair, like brunette hair, and she's probably about like four or so feet tall, and she's just going to pretty deftly kind of pop her way up into the wagon, grabs the reins, and I know the name of these horses, but I don't know them offhand. She is going to say those names and start to move the team towards the back of the building here.
Very nice.
So Thistle will start with those presently. Perhaps you all would enjoy a bit of tea. Are you all hungry? Is there anything that I could... Do you require anything?
Well, there's a small matter of payment. Kinder will kind of almost take on like an almost like he's like embarrassed, like he's asking about it, but oh, and make sure Gundren knows we didn't touch any of that ale. I know I've had an incident or two in the past, but we're very very professional this time.
You'll see as he takes like a moment to like jot down like a quick little note. May not have been the best thing to let him know to look at the ale. May not be anything at all. But he does kind of make a little note with that. He is going to take you all to this little entertaining room, kind of just off. You guys will walk behind that same countertop, through the back door, through this long hallway, and the door is basically straight ahead of you. Well, you'll see the two doors to the south, one door to the east. But once you enter into this room, you can see that there's a hearth to the south, a little bit of a sitting room, and this is otherwise kind of like a library that is here. He will kind of take a few moments, come back through with a little bit of heated water, sets out like tea glasses for everybody, and he's going to kind of look to you all and what sort of information do you have from Gundren about why you've been brought here?
Not much. We just have a contract we signed with him to deliver this wagon.
And can I see that?
I suppose so.
So he'll kind of look it over, takes a moment. And this is all you have from Gundren.
Kander will kind of start to like open his mouth to say something, then like shut it, then yes.
I need a deception from you there. That's to assume that you know you have a letter from Gundren.
Yep, that was the
Gotcha. Well, I do believe that this is enough to satisfy our business, and I can indeed pay you for your efforts. A deal is, after all, a deal. And he's just going to kind of look you all over, and what was the contract actually for? I think the contract says 50 gold.
I think it was like 10 gold a piece.
Okay, it does say a piece. Yeah, so effectively, the four of you can mark down. He will hand you all coin. As far as things go, I would say he is more likely to give you all something like 2 gold, and like 6 copper or 60 copper, and maybe some damn it, I said that wrong. Like 2 gold, 60 silver, and what is that? 200 copper kind of thing. He's more likely to give you a blend of coins than he is to give you simply 10 gold pieces. But with that in mind, you guys can mark down that you have received 10 gold from Barthen's Elmar. And he'll just kind of set out that sack. It'll be a single sack of gold as far as marking it down on your characters goes. You guys can just have your individual there. But he'll kind of set things aside there, and well, it's certainly peculiar that he has not arrived before you. But it is dangerous. Perhaps something poor and unfortunate has happened. Hopefully, Anders able to find them.
Yes, we were ambushed by goblins ourselves. The guard at the entrance said we should report that to, I believe, the mayor or town master.
Among other things, the town master has contracted the Ruby Owl for protection. And indeed, if people are attacked, we're supposed to let the town master and the Ruby Owl know where those attacks have been happening, so they can investigate. If we don't hear any news, perhaps you would be willing to look more into my friend's disappearance. He told me that he was contacting some trustworthy friends who might be able to help beyond just as an escort.
Well, I believe Gundren did say he might have more work for us, so I suppose it's in our best interest to help find him. What do
Oh, no.
the rest of you think?
Sorry, didn't mean to cut in there. But Kendra will be like, well, let's not call it a disappearance quite yet. A delay, certainly. But yeah, I suppose we can try to find him.
As Dandabar is walking around the room, just kind of smelling stuff, he just cuts in and says, with the goblin attacks and the dwarf attacks, I am worried about our friend.
I suppose it's possible he run into some. Yes, I suppose it's possibly run into some trouble. Yeah, well, see if we can see if we can find him. For you, Barthen. His brother's staying here in town then?
The dwarves have not felt a welcome in this town. They've been keeping their camp at a distance. It's safer that way for the non-humans.
Perhaps we should have a conversation with the dwarves.
Kander will nod. Seems like if Gunder ran into trouble, he might seek out his brothers. Makes sense.
And it would seem we have our heading.
Well, I don't know it's that urgent. I mean, a good night's rest at the inn might do us well before we go traipsing off.
Out of character, it's how late is it?
You guys were walking in at dusk. The sun was setting as you walked up to Phandalin.
Yes, perhaps we should head to the dwarf encampment in the morning.
I agree. It's far too difficult far too dangerous to travel out right now. We all need some rest, and I need to spend some of this gold on a great drink.
Danabar just kind of nods his head slowly.
Well, I should hear back from Ander at some point in the night. You all are certainly welcome to go about wherever you might decide to stay here. Though we're not far from the Stonehill Inn. You're more than welcome. And perhaps it's the nicest place that you could stay in town. I could find you there.
Yeah, I think that's where we decided to say we already got a recommendation from someone.
Out of character, is this kind of like a general shop of sorts?
Yeah, an outfitter quite literally is the person who sells stuff that is basically not made locally.
Okay, so like he probably has like meat and like vegetables and stuff like that.
I do indeed have dried goods. As far as any preserved meats go, I have pemmican, but I don't really deal in fresh foods. I tend to have everything is a little more stable.
I shall need some ingredients. I would like to treat my friends to a meal.
Knew it like this fellow. Kander, as he hears that.
If you prepare a list, I can prepare your ingredients. Uh, if you know what you are looking for, we can get those all set up. As far as things go, he is the player's handbook for most things. So as far as trade goods go, that's pretty much the ingredients that he has. This is talking like rice, flour, um, pretty basic like dried goods like fruits and vegetables, things like potato flour, corn flour, wheat flour.
He has like probably some like random like ingredients and stuff like that, like meaning like spices and stuff.
A lot of these spices that you have here, I don't keep. Most alchemists prefer to have these fresh. Um, Very sorry, but I don't have a supply for many of these. I have the seeds, but that would probably be it. And most of those I have to charge quite a bit for. They're quite expensive.
All is well. I'll take some flour and some cornstarch if you have it.
Yeah, so he can set those up. You can look in the player's handbook to see how much those cost, but more or less that is remove whatever you're buying. Um, as far as I know, on most trade goods, those things are talked about in the book when you're buying them, like by like the many pounds.
Do you want me to look in the handbook, or you just want to like set a price?
No, I'm telling you to pick a price. You can look in the handbook and decide how much you're buying, but as far as trade goods go, they usually you're talking about like a gold for like 10 pounds of goods. I don't assume that you're buying 10 pounds of flour right now.
No. I'll just buy probably like a pound or two. So I mean, I could pay like a silver up to like 5 silver per whatever. So
Perfectly fine.
10 silver then.
So he'll get those set up. If you're buying like a pound of two different things, he's gonna come out with two small sacks. They're basically about the size of like two fists. Gonna come out to roughly a pound each, and you can mark those down pretty much as a custom item. But if you all are all set here, Barthen will walk you back out towards the entrance, um, and say his goodbyes to you all. And he will lock up the door behind you, and just with a kind of curt, "I'll see you all at the inn when Ander returns."
So just like before they leave, Candor would like kind of bring out a kind of a small pack and kind of opening it up to Barth and kind of ask like, I run a bit low on a few supplies. Don't have anything like bandages, dried herbs, that sort of thing. Essentially, he's wondering if he can buy a healer's kit.
You can definitely buy a healer's kit here. Again, this is more he has like the linens and kind of things like that. He has like tendons for creating like tourniquets. He has a little bit more of the things that you have to make or you have to produce to use a med kit more than he has herbs. So you'll kind of get the same thing to him. You can still piece together a medical med kit, and you can buy one. But as far as he goes, he doesn't have any herbs, fresh or really dried. What he has from herbs end up being things like coriander and allspice, where you're talking about seeds. And that's kind of the same thing that he was saying to Dandabar, where the seeds he has are for people who want to sow them more than necessarily for somebody who wants to cook, because they're kind of priced for that. But he has med kits that you can certainly purchase. I think in the PHP those are 5 gold. I don't know offhand, but same idea. If you look in the PHP, this guy is effectively the um, the player's equipment list. Not everything is here at his store from that list, but most of it.
Gotcha. So yeah, so you might. I'm thinking like you might have seen like while we were traveling to Candor would have been, when he was like traveling on the side of the cart, like just uh, essentially foraging some of these more common herbs that he could use, kind of thing. So
Yeah, I don't know if you have like proficiency in like herbalism or alchemy, but those proficiencies are the most likely thing that allow you to like forage for something that would turn into a med kit. But in the long run, that's kind of something to maybe keep in mind to learn, or simply just to know kind of how I play things in the future. But in the long run, yeah, like you can start to do that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have any sort of proficiency like that. So maybe it was more that he just like he was missing some kind of thing. Whatever the stuff that Barthen has is kind of what he was missing, and now he has enough to have one. So
Yeah, so you might be able to find somebody who can point you towards the right things. They might be able to educate you, and then you can specifically search for something like that. But effectively, there's some level of you have to learn how to walk around the wilds and be able to pick a leaf, knowing that like thistles, leaves have coagulant properties to them. That if you don't have clean linens, you can take the leaves from thistles and use them as bandages. But that's effectively kind of where that falls. At this place, you can get like produced med kits. If you found like an alchemist or an herbalist, they might sell you an actual like package of like plants that are the exact same thing as that med kit. So one med kit doesn't look like the same med kit. But you've got that for now. Any other thoughts before you all leave Barthen's provisions at this moment? So you all can continue down this street. By this time, you've probably been at Barthen's for about half hour, 40 minutes or so. It's definitely a little bit darker. It is pretty much nighttime at this point. There are the last kind of remnants. And let me see where we are at. We are approaching a new moon. And effectively, you guys have a very small waning crescent of a moon kind of shedding light across this town. But you're kind of cutting across this saddle. So as you walk kind of southwest along this entry road, the road is at about the same height. But like if you went directly south, kind of through and behind Barthen's, you would almost be walking uphill to go to where Stonehill End is. But by walking a little bit westward, you're following the downslope of the hill. So that's all like a level property in like this town. So like for instance, that arrow is uphill, the orange one, and then the green arrow is level. Do you know what I mean here?
Yeah.
Understood.
So you guys can walk through this town. You're going to see some buildings sporadically throughout. Um, as you get to this town center, you're going to hear a little bit of action inside of the inn to the left of you. And you can see a front door is just around the kind of turn to your left. And it is along what is effectively that Saddle Ridge Road that starts to follow the front of Stonehill. It's going to follow the saddle, and it will lead up to that ruined building way off to the east of you. To the west of you, you have an open square that is all pretty much level. So all of these buildings that encircle the square are all kind of sitting again on the same level as far as this hill goes. And inside of the town square, there is a stone structure of ruins that kind of build up what seems to be an altar. Anybody with religious proficiency, let me get a religion check from you. I don't know if anybody has religion.
Hold on,
Nope, looks like Danabar.
yeah. Give me a moment here. I was looking at the handbook. All right, so you said religion.
Yes, please.
Did I set that up right? I think I did.
Yep, that works. So as you kind of wander past and looking through and seeing the Stonehill building, Stonehill Inn, you'll notice that little ruin of stones, the altar is actually a altar to a goddess of luck. You will know her as Tamora, and effectively recognize that this shrine is a adornment of a god of luck. Um, and let's see, kind of around the buildings and circling it behind, there seems to be kind of some houses there. There is a large hill that kind of rises about 30 or so feet above this town square that is off to the west of it. And then there's a few buildings kind of on the south side of the town square. One of them seems to be a really large building that has the crest of a shielded lion. It's just a lion's head on effectively it's a wooden shield, but it's like a triangular kite shield, and it has this lion's crest up across its front porch. And then on the south side and eastern side of the street, you see another building that seems to be among the older constructions of the wood. The wood of that place kind of has a little bit of a patina and age to it, telling you it's a little bit one of the older buildings. But as far as that's kind of the view of the square that you all currently have, and Stonehill Inn is directly to the west of you. What would you like to do from this point inside of it?
Well, should we head into the inn?
Yep, I'm more than happy.
Yes, let's.
So let's see. Walking into the inn, you guys have a set of double doors. Don't have this populated with miniatures, but let's say right now, walking in, it's pretty much dead. You've got two tables along the back. There's probably a single person who's sitting at one of those tables. Seems to just be kind of keeping to themselves, more or less sitting in the corner and kind of just head down in a mug. You will see that there is an older man who you can see kind of the gray hairs are starting to show up in his long, blonde hair. He's got pretty nice clothing, but very old. And he stands behind the bar, about 5.5, 6 feet or so tall. And he'll be pretty quick to look up to you all entering through the main doors. And with kind of a quick little nod to you all, oh, welcome to the Stonehill Inn. My name's Toblin Stonehill. I can do anything that you might care for. Are you all traveling? Do you need a place to stay? Are you just in here for an ale? What can I do you for? And as he kind of says that, he'll just lean over onto his elbow as he leans onto the bar and kind of looks to you all.
Candrel kind of looked at the others. First round's on me.
Well, you're welcome to come sit at the bar with me. Or if you all would like, I can take you to that table there. If you care for a little bit more privacy through the day or through the evening, um, we should start to have many of the townsfolk coming in as darkness sets in. There might be a little bit more privacy. I've got a table in the back that would be fit for 4. And you guys can basically see that there's this bar area, a larger table for about like 6 or 8 people, the 2 small tables for 2, and then there's a back area that has its own hearth, as well as 3 more tables back there, one of which could be pretty sufficient for 3 people to sit, or 4 people to sit at.
Yeah, I suppose we'll take a table. I'll take a meal and a room for the night, I guess.
Or Danabar says, would it be possible if I use your kitchen?
Uh, for you, my wife is preparing for the night's business. What do you require?
I just need a stove. I can help with the proceedings of tonight, if that would help, as well as payment.
Um,
Yeah.
Let me get a persuasion from you. I'm very sorry. I am running a business, and you must understand. My wife controls the kitchen. I can't be allowing someone else who might disrupt things. Many apologies, but you must understand, most people come because they want us to cook, not that they want to cook. And he just kind of like nods his head down a little bit. Sorry. But he will um look over to Flynn and it was 3 copper, 2 for your night, and I can feed you for the other.
I'll give you a gold.
You'll
Vandivar, it's all right. You can cook for us another time.
Whoa, wait. You have a gold to use my kitchen.
Money is no object.
Money is definitely an object, and gold is an acceptable object. Um, uh, Moment, please. And he's just going to kind of like raise his voice and yell out for Pip. You will see as from one of the northern doors, you'll see as this little boy, little brunette, kind of pokes his head around the corner, kind of winks to you all as he sees you all, and yes, Dad. Uh, Pip, go let your mother know we're going to have a guest who would like to. He'd like to use the kitchen and he's paying well for it. Make sure she's happy and with kind of work from that. And you'll see as the boy kind of looks back and he's like, "Yes, Dad," and heads off to the north. Um, Probably be about a minute later before you see a about like 30-year-old blonde-haired woman kind of step out and looking out from that same door. Toblin, am I to understand you're selling my kitchen for a good price? And she's going to look around at you all to look to see who seems like the guilty party.
I wink and kind of give like a half-tooth smile.
Well, you're welcome to come back to the kitchen, and you can cook, but you have to be done within the hour. When people get right drunk and they expect their meals, I need the kitchen to myself.
It won't take me but a minute.
So she will walk you back through that main door. You'll see that there is a long hallway that goes east to west. There is a door directly to the north that she will walk you in. There is a staircase to the east, as well as a few ways to go. Both a long hall continue off to the west, as well as a hallway that turns off to the north, just a little bit to the west of you.
All right, well, I'm gonna walk back to the kitchen, start prepping up the meal.
Well, I suppose I only need a room then, if you, since my companion is insistent on cooking for us. And I'll give him the 2 gold.
Copper,
Oh yeah, sorry, copper.
This
you
man's
are
about to get
welcome to
paid
take 2
today.
gold.
Damn.
Yeah, Kander will look towards Flynn and Einar, and as Dandabar is kind of heading back to the kitchen, and oops, I just said first round was on him, but yeah, I'll man of my word, and he'll hand over to Toblin however many copper is needed for 4 ales.
He'll do probably 4 copper for that.
Dandabar kind of peeks his head out of the kitchen, comes and grabs his ale, smiles at his party members, and walks back.
Einar will just take 2 copper out of his purse and hand it over and just sweep back the ale. And he says to the bartender, can you tell us a little bit about this place? Sights to see, anything of interest?
There's a great big mountain range. Plenty of precious things to find in the rocks. And if you go high enough, a white dragon to eat you. I think those are the 3 sights to be seen here.
Einar's ears prick up at the precious things, and he's like, precious things? What sort of precious things?
Any precious metals, precious gems, and things you generally go breaking rock for. There's many a miner in this town. So while you all are sitting around and kind of taking in your drinks, sipping at your drinks, among some of the things that you can notice here is that there is a board towards the entrance area that kind of sits along the northeastern wall. And you can see on this wall, there are a few different parchments that are kind of nailed to it, where you all will see. Oh shit! I didn't turn them into handouts. My apologies. Give me one moment here. I think probably the first handout you will see is the one from the Order of the Ruby Owl.
Now, is this this Order of the Ruby Owl? Is this anything that any of us have heard of before?
You can do a history check. My bad, I'm not on the page. What did you roll?
18.
As far as things go, I'd say you might have the slightest hint of it. Um, you may not be able to recall exactly when you first heard of it, but you would probably have a pretty nefarious kind of feeling comes about. Like, if your mind recalls something, it seems like this might be a organization of less than savory means. But that is one of the parchments that you all see. You guys should all have that little pop up. That is posted on that little job board. And then I would say the other one that you all can see on there is going to be.
Been trying to contact you about your car's extended warranty.
What was that?
I was just saying it'd be funny if like you put on there, we've been trying to contact you about your car's extended warranty.
And that should be the other one that you see posted, a request to search out Adabra Gwyn at Umbridge Hill. But over the next few minutes, there will be more people who start to head into this little area. Probably one of the next to come in is going to be a young woman. Seems to have like golden red hair. She's probably about 4.5 feet tall. You can see and smell a certain level of like charcoal, smoke, and dust that is a permanent part of her. But she's going to walk in, and the place is very quickly going to smell of charcoal. And she'll just kind of step in, wave off to Toblin, and kind of looking around, she'll nod to you all and sit down just at one end of the bar and order an ale from Toblin and ask what Trelena is making this evening for dinner.
Candor will kind of like, he'll raise his glass kind of in a greeting with like a small nod. He'll kind of look to the others. He drank his first ale fairly quickly, so he's kind of like looking to the others, like ready for another round.
I'm still working on my first one, but go ahead.
Inoris swigs his and bangs the glass down on the table. Bring it on, mate.
So Candor will look towards Toblin, kind of give a little wave to try and get his attention, kind of raise two fingers, and then he'll look towards the new person who's come at the end of the bar and kind of think, "Bar next's on me as well. Why not?"
Toblin will kind of look away from her. He'll kind of look back to her and say, let me have you do a persuasion check there. And I'll start to fill your ale, look back towards her, and she'll say, I'm here for business. You don't have to buy me a drink. But you seem new. Are you all of the Ruby Owl?
Candor will kind of give a small shake of his head. Afraid not.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. My name's Lillian Greywind. It's good to meet you. And you are. And she'll reach out her hand. Just a big, like, black charcoal hand. She is not washed.
Um, I'm Flynn. It's nice to meet you.
Hello, Flynn. That's well-made equipment you have there. And she's just going to kind of reach out to touch your armor. Are you avoiding this?
No, I'll let her touch the chainmail if she wants.
It's a fine make. Um,
Yes.
and she's gonna kind of like search around for a moment looking for a maker's mark. As far as your background goes, you have folk hero, right?
Yes.
Did you ever decide where you're from? Are you from Neverwinter?
Um, no, my family's from outside Neverwinter, but we moved there. Um,
What's outside Neverwinter for you though? Like, are you talking about like outside the main gates? Are you talking about just somewhere else in the world?
I can't remember what we talked about, but you said there was like an area where Shantae is generally worshipped. I figured I might come from
Oh
that
yeah,
area.
that's far down in the south. You are not from Neverwinter at all. Yeah, so she'll look over your armor, and when she spots the maker's mark, she's going to take a moment, just kind of like almost like rubbing it with her thumb before she kind of looks in, like, very nice. I inspiring. It's a pleasure to meet you, Flynn. And she'll kind of look back up to you with like a sparkle in her eye, a little bit of a smile, and look back to the rest of you all. So, what has brought you here? Are you all looking to mine for gold and gems with gear like that?
So you would see like Candor when she reached out her hand, like he would, reach out and shake it without any kind of hesitation. But then you'd see afterwards he would very discreetly try to kind of like almost like wipe his hand, like he doesn't want to get any soot on his nice clean shirt. Um, but he would like otherwise introduce himself, and he had mentioned also that they've got their companion Dan DeBar is off in the kitchen making us what I can only assume is a quite a fine meal.
So without even remotely noticing that you're hesitant to like touch her sooty hands, she's just going about things. She continues to kind of sip at her ale. She's curtly a part of the conversation, but once it's like moved away from Flynn's armor, she's kind of on like single word responses of, "I'm not being rude, but I'm also not here to talk to you." Um, After a few moments, you all are going to see as a man who's probably later in his 20s or 30s, like late 20s, early 30s, walks in with kind of like a big leather hood, more or less wearing like an open vest that is kind of a cloak, and otherwise seems to be just kind of pretty plainly clothed in like wildly fashioned leather. It's not like really tailored. It's not really like produced to look good so much as this is utility based. He's going to kind of look around, and he'll kind of look to Toblin and just kind of with a curt little, oh, start sending the ales. Oh, I'll take the regular table this evening. And he will walk into the back room. after he comes in, Toblin is going to holler. Pip is going to come back around, and you're going to start to see increasingly at this point, Pip is running around as a waiter.
So as this newcomer comes in and kind of calls to Toblin, Candor kind of glances at Toblin, just trying to like kind of catch like any sense of like an immediate reaction to the demand. Like, is he happy to serve him? Is he seemingly like kind of exasperated kind of thing? Like anything you can catch from a quick like kind of glance.
You can roll a insight there or a perception. Your choice, 2 different answers. This is kind of a odd balance that is going on in Toblin's outward emotions are happy, servile, like, this is business, this is what I do, I've got customers. But you can see that there is like an extra level of tension that is now riding on top of this person. You can see that while he is a good businessman, this is definitely a different level of stress. This person is clearly not as kind as some of the other people that you've already seen, and it's a different experience as far as things go in this initial moment of seeing him react.
Gotcha. So like, gotcha. Candor won't say anything. Kind of just be making kind of small talk with Flynn and Einar. Kind of occasionally glancing off towards the doorway where he saw Dandabar heading off into the back area.
Einar's had a couple of drinks now, but he does say to the bartender, having noticed this, anything that we can help you with?
What have you noticed? Because Candor did that insight check. You didn't notice anything.
Okay, yeah, ignore them.
Until Candor takes time at some point to specifically say he said that to you, or until you guys have like personal time where it's just you all, that is his knowledge.
I'll carry on drinking.
Because effectively, if he tries to tell it to you right now, like you guys are inside of a situation where other people can hear, this is not like a free to share experience right now. But as far as things go, you guys are probably about a half or so hour into this. Trilena is in that back room with Dandabar. She is running around cooking. She is clearly aggravated that you are in the way, but she also has kind of a happy disposition, besides the fact that you can tell that this is somebody who is trying to cook and is stumbling over your presence. What are you doing in the back here, Dandabar?
30 minutes in, I should be about done making my chicken pot pies for my fellow travel
I think
companion.
chicken pot pies take a whole lot longer than that, but what are you thinking?
It's just chicken, and you just put it in the oven or cook it with a top on.
But you're making pot pies, so you're also making dough. It is not just chicken. Making meals in medieval times is not simple. I mean, at least there's going to be an hour for you to cook here, let alone until you start using an ability that does it. But I'm pretty sure every ability that has to do with cooking is a minimum hour. So are you trying to converse with her at all while you were in the kitchen, or are you just going about your time and happy being silent?
I'm basically just focused on this sole task. I don't have anything to say to anybody. I look like I'm in my element, and I'm just doing my thing.
Gotcha. You know that you are effectively writing yourself out of the story right now, right? Like this
And
is
then I mean, I guess
me to
I won't
you,
make
the
pot
person.
pies then. I just made
Okay.
some fried chicken and I'll bring it out to them. I guess.
Where did you get the chicken from?
I gave them a gold. I'm pretty positive they would let me do that.
Just because you gave them a gold doesn't mean that I have a chicken for you. But you
Okay,
can
never mind.
certainly buy a chicken from them. Next time, negotiate that part of it. Don't assume. Like, this is a real world. If they're going to give you a chicken, they have to go kill a chicken. So yeah, you're probably like midway through slaughtering, plucking, and starting to cook the chicken. You'll probably finish shortly here if you are just cooking it in lard. As far as things go, everybody out front, there is going to be another person who walks. And I think this time we're gonna have a big old fat man, um, very much kind of going bald. He has some gray hairs, almost like a crown of hair, like above his ears, that kind of goes around where his balding has kind of taken over that whole like receding hairline into just the bald hairline. He kind of like stands at that front little entrance, big fur kind of like sitting over his shoulders, nice linen shirt. He's going to look around and kind of nod. Toblin, linen. Uh, and he's going to head over to the table towards the entrance there. And he will sit down and kind of look over. Once he kind of organizes himself, honey mead this evening, please, Toblin. And whatever Chilena is cooking as well, thank you. And he'll just kind of sit there. Toblin's just going to gather up Pip the next time he comes by. Otherwise, what is the group currently doing here?
So Gander is just still kind of drinking. He might actually be, you know, in a few days on the road, so he's probably getting close to his third here, and he'll be looking towards Flynn and Einar again. Kind of almost like kind of raise his glass again, like with like a one raised eyebrow, like another. Seems
Uh,
very kind of at ease, relaxed.
yeah, Flynn has been pacing himself, but he'll start a second ale.
Can't be like another round, another round.
So anybody who is going into a third drink, let me have you make a Constitution saving throw, please. While you all are ordering up drinks and Toblin is preparing them, Elmar is going to show up. He has both of the children, Thistle and Ander, with him, sends them off to a table. He's going to approach Toblin, get a couple of drinks for the others, one for himself. You'll see that he comes with his like own stein, which is like a almost like a quart where you guys are drinking like little cups. So his drink is almost like 6 or so times as large as what everybody else is doing as he sits down and hands his cup across the bar, nods over to Linan and looks to you all and kind of gazing around, scoping out the building. Well, now's not the most ideal time to be speaking of it. He'll kind of whisper over to Candor, and but perhaps we can speak in private before you all decide to turn in for the evening.
Candor will kind of try to give like a very kind of small nod without verbally saying anything like an acknowledgement. And then afterwards, he'll kind of like glance towards Flynn and Einar.
And kind of part of that message is he'll say, kind of pass on, like, or we can meet early in the morning, whichever kind of works out. As he starts to see you kind of dropping back the drinks. Yeah. You're not like looking rough, but it is obvious that you've been drinking. And he kind of sees that a little bit and maybe slips in, like, perhaps in the morning. Um, as he's kind of going over that, there's going to be two other men who walk in. These two are probably a little bit older. One kind of almost seems like he's hunched over a little bit, seems to kind of bear the weight a little bit more. The other one might be a little bit younger, seems to be a little bit larger frame. And the two of them are going to just pretty much seamlessly walk in and go immediately to that back room, where you guys will see Pip pretty quickly taking to their needs, coming to the bar and ordering another round of 3 for the table of the owls. Toblin will prepare those. So this evening is going to continue like this for a while here, guys. You basically have the town finishing up their life outside and starting to come into the actual tavern here. Over the next good bit of time, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, this place is going to fill up. The noise of this building is palpable. Eventually, towards maybe about an hour after you all arrive, there is going to be a small man about 4 feet tall who comes in and starts to play music and entertain the guests. You'll see at times he stops over by Thistle, the little girl from Barthen's, and kind of like stops and chats with her between songs. You'll see there's probably about 10 or 12 of the Order of the Ruby Owl who are in that back room at any given time. The person at the entrance probably has 3 or 4 guests at his table at any given time. None of them stay for long, but he basically sits there at that large table and has a constant kind of flow of people who are visiting, stop, and move beyond. As you all are experiencing Stonehill Inn as such, do you have anyone that you would like to interact with? What are you all thinking about this evening?
Do we know that they're from the Ruby Owl? Just that if so, Einar would, as remembering seeing the notice board, and just wanted to go and ask a couple of questions.
Pip has come up to Toblin, and when like the second 2 arrived, he said 3 more ales for the owls. So on some level, I think yes, you guys do understand that that table in the back room is a table for the Order of the Ruby Owls.
Okay, so Einar now very confident on 3 ales, wants to get up and move towards the table where they're sitting.
How many of them are there when you go there?
Well, I mean, there's 3 there at the moment.
I'm fast forwarding through time, so tell me, are you going right then, as Pip says, I need 3 more ales for the Order of the Owls? Or are you going later in the day, like an hour or 2 later, when there's 10 or 12 of them? You get to tell me, how many are at the table when you go there?
Yeah, I'm happy to go when there are 3 at the table.
Gotcha. So you can move on over there, and what would you like to say to them? You'll see as they get a little bit quieter as you approach, but probably the closest one, the guy who's a little bit hunchbacked, is going to look up from you with his ale kind of at his face, taking a little bit of a sip. He'll kind of stop without removing the ale, like the cup from near his face. Oh, what can we help you with there?
I noticed on the notice board you're looking. You need to know anything suspicious that people have seen along the road, and there may be some work in it as well. Is that correct?
If you've seen something, say something.
Yeah, we've seen goblins. We had a nasty encounter with them on the road.
And where were you traveling from?
We were travelling from Neverwinter towards the tribal road.
Excellent. And your destination was here in Fendelin? This was today?
Yeah, that's correct. Barely escaped with our lives.
And was anyone seriously injured in your party?
We did suffer some injury, but fortunately, we all survived to tell the tale. One of my colleagues was more injured than the others, but thankfully he's here today.
So when you say you were attacked by goblins, there was one goblin? Is goblins how you say one?
There were many goblins. We're not sure quite how many. They were hidden. They were from different angles, and hiding in trees and bushes.
He's gonna raise his glass to the air and kind of looking towards the other two. To fighting off many goblins, and he's just going to toast himself as if he is the coolest person ever. Takes a drink from his ale. Do you
And
know how dangerous it is to report false attacks? How much of our time it wastes, and how difficult it makes it to protect the people of this town when you go lying?
Can I hear this from over here, or am I?
At this point, the bar is still busy, so probably not. But
Oh,
do you
okay.
let Einar go over there alone?
well, I'm happy to say, my friends can vouch for me. They're sitting just over there. They'll tell you exactly the same thing that I just have.
A group can lie as much as the next. Not sure how it's profitable for you, but many goblins is... It's interesting that you've come out alive.
Well, it's completely up to you whether you believe me or not. If you don't, then farewell, my friends.
Are you just a sheep herd crying wolf, though? And with this, I need you to make a persuasion check. So he's just gonna kind of continue to this little like chuckle, and well, you do a good job killing any goblins that you see, and we appreciate you letting us know. Community is safety. If you do what you're told, it helps protect everyone. You've done well, and your name is...
I know.
well, Ina. Thank you. If
Oh,
you see anything else, don't forget to share it with us. Let us know and we'll protect you.
I'll just raise my glass to him and and say and repeat, to killing goblins, and then I'll return back to the bar.
What was that about?
I'll share all the information that I just encountered, but I simply don't know whether he believes me or not.
Well, if they didn't believe you, I'll share something. I'll 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 fix them. I'll walk over to them. Hello there.
Nah. Hello.
I understand my friend's story might seem a bit fanciful, but I have proof, and I'll show them my wound. This is where a goblin got me.
Which you cured with magic?
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
So you're like showing them like a cut in kind of like the leather that protects you from your armor. And he's just going to look at you and, so you've got shoddy under armor.
oh,
That's a
right.
good story. Like fighting off a bunch of goblins. Many goblins. And he's going to raise his goblet again, and all three of them are going to drink a bunch of ale.
Well, they were hidden, so I don't know how many there were. But I assure you, we did run into goblins. Maybe it was 3, maybe it was
Well, your warning is well done. You've done the wise thing by telling us. Safety in civilization. Cooperation is safety.
well, I just wanted to make sure you believed us, and I can swear on Shantae, we did indeed encounter goblins on the what was the name of the road again?
A Tribord Trail.
Yeah, I can assure you, I swear on my honor, that we did encounter goblins on the Tribord Trail, and you should, for the safety of the village, if that is indeed your job, to watch out for them there. Uh, Sorry for taking up your time, and I'll step away.
Roll a persuasion for me.
1 second.
Looking over at Flynn, the one in kind of like the northeastern position in this room, is just going to kind of raise his glass, and he's just going to yell out, "And I put my fist through 8 goblins' heads with a single punch." And he's going to toast and chug. And then the other one will kind of look back at him and, now, they're doing what they should. Reporting dangers. Be they true or not, we do know goblins are waylaying those on the trail. Perhaps there's more to their fancy, even if one has become many. When you go to leave that table, you'll see that the young lady with the red hair has kind of taken your seat, and she's kind of moved back across, and she's sitting next to Kander and Einar, and she'll kind of look to them and, some of the Costers' shipments have been waylaid, and it is perhaps these same creatures that are starting to take advantage of the new life in Phandalin. That there is profiting to be made from stealing that which is not theirs. And she's going to turn around and looking to the guy who's at the front. Probably has like 2 or so people with him, but again, it's kind of clear there's a cycle of people who are flowing through this fat man's table. And she'll kind of look back and, just with kind of like a little bit of saying his name, enough that it grabs his attention, but kind of clear that she's not necessarily speaking to him. They'll kind of like nod to each other as she says, I have notified Harbin, and he was part of getting the order to look into it. But unfortunately, they've not found any of my goods. But it might be the same danger that has found you has created danger. Or, my bad, the same danger that has found my shipments has created a danger for others on the road. And as she sees Flynn coming back, she's like, my apologies, friend. You can have your seat back. And she'll move back over towards Einar.
Well, now, if there's anything I can't abide, it's a disruption in the smooth flow of commerce. Perhaps we might be of some assistance. Where did you say these? Do you know where these shipments went missing?
I did not, unfortunately, hear back from my caravan, only that it was due some weeks ago. They should have come in from Neverwinter, though. So, along the high road into the Tribor, and then, of course, the trail to Phandalin here.
Well, we had a few, one or two encounters with some would-be thieves ourselves. But should we happen across your missing shipments, we would, of course, return them to you.
If you're able to return my goods, I can offer you a reward for what you return. If you decide not to bring my goods back to me. And she'll kind of look over towards Flynn. You'll understand. I know all of our maker's marks from the Lion Shield Coster. If you attempt to keep my goods, it would be very unsatisfying. But please, do the right thing, and I can certainly reward you. And I think is kind of like an underhand. She's going to say, this is out of my pocket. So please understand if we can help each other. That my reward also is from the goodness of your hearts. Otherwise, perhaps you will just look like thieves. And it would be quite exhausting to find out, after so pleasant of a meeting, that you are not nearly as nice as perhaps I had thought.
I can assure you, I've never even dreamt of stealing from anyone who didn't absolutely deserve it. And you do not seem the type.
The stealing's been done against my guild. The reward will come from me. But it also saves my face even if I do lose gold over it. So, and I think you've introduced yourself, so she'll say, so, Candor, I hope if you are fortunate in finding what I need, perhaps we can find ourselves in business. Maybe, if things work out for the better, after that, you all would be welcome to purchase any weapons that you might need from the Coster. And she'll describe that effectively the Lion Shield Coster is the building to the southwest of Stonehill Inn, and that is the one that I was describing that has the lion shield, like at the front gate. So returning to this idea that we are fast forwarding through this evening, do you all have any interest in interacting with other NPCs?
Candor will be, he'll be after that third one. He'll be kind of nursing. He'll spend most of the night just kind of just observing trying to get a feel for the general sense of the area. But otherwise, no, he'll just kind of be a barfly for the night.
So if everybody is all good, we're going to wind up this evening. Are you all planning on going back to Barthen's Provisions to have a conversation with him after your drinking and your meal? Or would you all rather turn in and head over and do something in the morning? What sort of thoughts do you all have before bed?
Didn't even really get to have an interaction with me bringing out food, but I mean, it's fine.
I was fast forwarding through things. Bring out your food. You have to do your character. I do not control you. That is all you.
Understandable, but you did also tell me that I had to wait a long time. I didn't know how long you wanted me to wait. I was waiting for you to say something.
That's why I was saying you have to jump in there. When I started to do the fast forwarding through time, I was giving you a schedule of what was happening across that time. You are welcome to bring out food, but again, there's a certain level of you guys have to do you.
Noted.
My goal is to not sit here while everybody is silent. I am presenting a world to you all. You have to interact with it. If you stop interacting with my NPCs inside of Stonehill, that's telling me to kill that scene and move on. Do you want to bring out your food?
No, that's fine. Let's move on.
All right. So if you guys are waking up the next morning, when you all go to turn in, everybody basically paid for what is kind of like barracks lodging. There's basically an upper floor, one larger room with about 8 cots inside of it. So like four on top, 4 below. There is one other person who already has a cot in the corner. You'll recognize it as that same man who seemed to have been sitting in that corner, basically nursing his ale all alone through the night. Depending on when everybody goes to bed, he's neither the first person to return to the bedding, nor is he the last person. But at some point around midnight, that person is going to go to bed. Otherwise, there are 7 empty cots when everybody goes up to the area for you to lodge. If you all go right to sleep, we will pick up the next day. Everybody can take a long rest.
And was it 2 coppers a person for the inn?
Yeah, I think 2 copper per person, 1 copper per ale, 1 copper per meal.
Gotcha. Yeah, Candor will probably be fairly drunk by the time he goes to sleep. But no other, he'll thank Dandabar for the food, and otherwise just kind of go to sleep, pick up the next morning.
Yeah, same
Yeah.
with Dandabar. He's probably going to be tired from cooking.
As far as things go, nobody drank enough that you got like plastered and you destroyed yourself. This is definitely the kind of drunk where you might have some hangover type of situation, but nobody is going to feel any pain from this regardless. You have to drink a little bit faster than you all kind of went through. But yeah, next morning, what is on the mind of the group here?
So it will be at some point, like kind of once they were back in the room, that Kander would share with everyone else kind of the sense he got from like Toblin's interaction with the owls, and also kind of the sort of whispered conversation with Barthen about, or I guess not whispered, but quiet conversation about Barthen suggesting that they meet up again. So he would share that with all the others at this, once they're back in private.
Are you guys turning in early? What time do you think you're going to bed? My bad. Was that muted? No. Okay.
I would think Kander.
Several hours have we already? So I'm assuming that it's getting pretty late into the evening.
My point is if you are generically going to say this, there's a chance that other person is in the bedroom. Are you trying to get people to bed early, Kander, so you can tell them while everybody is still in the inn?
No, it was just. Sorry. So I mean, I would think Kander would probably not be going back to the room until after midnight.
Gotcha. So let's assume this other person is in the inn. You all can put a little bit of space in between them, but it's one of those trade-offs of you can share this information with the group. This other person may hear it. If you make an effort to share this information so they cannot hear it, it's going to at very least be shady because they can see that you are clearly trying to hide something from them. So what kind of avenue on that end do you want to go for? Do you want to explicitly try to hide something, or do you just want to unabashed share it?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I forgot that there was actually somebody still aside from the party still in the room.
Yeah, so when you go into that room, they'll be in the room at present.
Gotcha. Okay, so in that case, Kander probably wouldn't mention anything that night.
Gotcha. So one of the first things in the morning, you can start to let them know. As far as things go, you're going to find that person is gone probably before everybody wakes up. I have a feeling Flynn waking up to pray might be the first person awake and is more than likely the person who would see like Flynn's schedule is probably similar to this person. That person is up at the crack of dawn, probably like 5.5 to 6 hours of sleep. They're up and they're leaving the inn. So Flynn would know by the time everybody's awake, you guys are alone in that room.
Yeah,
Okay.
I drank the least, so makes sense I'd be up first.
And as far as things go, like I assume anybody who prepares spells, I know you don't have to prepare them now, but especially holy figures, you are usually spending 2 hours of your long rest preparing your spells for that day. That includes prayer to your god to grant you those spells. In the same way, most days, like a wizard is waking up, their last 2 hours is kind of going through their book to prepare their list of spells for that day. Everybody tends to have morning rituals. Somebody like Kander has a lot less need for those rituals than somebody like Dandabar or Flynn. Einar, you're kind of on the kind of like gray area there. There's certainly room for you to have morning rituals, but they're probably more nature-based things.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I don't have spells yet, but I guess I'd pray to restore my lay on hands ability.
So you all have that update. Barthens is expecting you all at some point in the morning here. You have Stonehill Inn below you. You are welcome to explore the city itself. as you all wake up, and are you leaving the inn?
Yeah, I just say to my party, we should make time in the day to go see those dwarfs.
Agreed. Agreed. Perhaps Barthen has some news about it. Suggest we maybe perhaps go see him first, and then I agree. See if we can find those two brothers of Gundren and see what's going on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds
Einar
good.
is complete agreement.
Well, shit. We've gone 45 minutes over. My apologies there, all. Let's actually cut it off here with the group about to head off to Barthen's Provisions.